Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into a fascinating piece of rock history, the Saugatuck Pop Festival. This rock festival, held in Saugatuck, Michigan, really embodies the late 60s counterculture spirit.
Absolutely, it's a wild chapter of music history. Tell me, what's the scene like over there?
Well, the festival took place at the Potawatomi Campgrounds near Goshorn Lake in Saugatuck, Michigan, and it happened in two landmark years, 1968 and 1969. The location itself was pretty rustic, which added to the whole vibe.
Right, the outdoors, the campgrounds, and it sounds like an intimate setting turned massive.
Exactly. In 1968, it was held on July 4th. So you got that explosion of patriotic energy mixed with rock and roll.
Yeah.
It featured predominantly Michigan bands like the Amboy Dukes with Ted Nugent and even MC5, among others like Frigid Pink and The Frost.
Wow, that's a solid lineup. So they really pushed local talent, especially with bands like MC5 that were kind of revolutionary at the time.
Absolutely. And though the 1968 event was successful, it was on a relatively small scale compared to what came next. It was like a warm-up before the storm that hit in 1969.
Oh, a warm up? So you're saying 1969 took it in a whole new direction?
Right you are. In 1969, the festival spread over 2 days, July 4th and 5th, and because of the buzz, organizers secured extra land to handle a turnout that skyrocketed to over 30,000 people.
Yeah,
Imagine a small town like Saugatuck suddenly turning into a rock oasis.
that's just wild. 30,000 attendees would definitely wreak some havoc in a town that size.
And that brings us to the impact on Saugatuck. With roads jammed with over 1,000 cars along Blue Star Highway and attendees camping in the woods, the festival caused major disruptions. Locals even complained about illegal activities and the strains on town infrastructure.
I can see how that would be both exciting for fans and chaotic for the residents. It's like a rock and roll flash flood.
Exactly. It was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it was a celebration of counterculture and rock music with big names and unique acts. On the other, it pushed Saugatuck to its limits.
Speaking of names, aside from local heroes like Bob Seger System, Iggy and the Stooges, and the Amboy Dukes, did the festival feature any international acts?
Oh, for sure. In 1969, the festival really upped its game. It hosted international heavy hitters like Procol Harum, yes, the party that gave us A Whiter Shade of Pale, and blues legends Muddy Waters and
Right.
John Lee Hooker. Add in the psychedelic soul vibes from Rotary Connection featuring Minnie Riperton, and you've got a diverse musical buffet.
That's really impressive. It seems like they curated a lineup that was both cutting edge and historically significant.
Definitely, it was like a snapshot of the era's spirit, revolutionary, experimental, and true to the countercultural movement. And let's not forget the dramatic closing by The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, complete with a performance that involved fire.
Fire indeed. Fire on stage. That's exactly the kind of spectacle that cements an event in rock legend lore. But I wonder, don't you think that with such a massive scale, sometimes the magic of the smaller festival might get lost?
I get that point, but here's a thought. While the 1969 festival was huge and overwhelmed the little town, the raw energy and diversity of acts really captured the essence of the time.
Right.
Even though it stretched local resources, it set the stage for how rock festivals could push boundaries.
But isn't it fair to question whether going that big was worth it in terms of long term benefits for the community?
That's a fair challenge, actually. The economic boost and cultural cachet had their benefits, yet the legal backlash, the injunction against the property owners for land use violations, showed that there were serious costs too. It was
I
a
hear you.
tantalizing mix of artistic triumph and logistical disaster.
Yeah, it's like the festival was a bold experiment that, while culturally impactful, also served as a cautionary tale for overambition in event planning.
Exactly. The Saugatuck Pop Festival is remembered as a milestone in Michigan's music history despite its challenges. It basically showcased how rock music became a vehicle for broader cultural and even political expression, especially during those turbulent years.
Absolutely. And its legacy lives on in the way we think about festivals today, both as cultural celebrations and logistical puzzles, right?
Right, exactly. It's interesting how the festival welcomed emerging talents like Bob Seger and Iggy Pop, who went on to influence the wider rock scene. It was like a launching pad not only for music, but also for the counterculture ethos.
Yeah, it's like igniting a spark. Now that you mention it, just imagine being there, an open field, thousands of cars, music blasting, and an unmistakable air of rebellion. It must have felt surreal.
It's like a scene straight out of a movie, right? The spontaneity, the energy, the communal spirit. It was a mix of art, rebellion, and a touch of chaos.
Mm-hmm, indeed. What about the environment afterwards? I mean, were there any long term effects on Saugatuck?
Absolutely. The aftermath was not all sunshine and rainbows. The massive influx of people jammed local roads, disrupted daily life, and upended the small town infrastructure. Locals faced issues with overcrowding and some illegal activities that came with it, sparking real frustrations with the festival's scale.
Right, it was pretty overwhelming. That balance between cultural revolution and, well, social disruption really paints a complex picture. It makes you wonder, could the same energy have been harnessed with a bit more caution?
You know, that's a great point. While the festival pushed musical boundaries and reflected the daring spirit of the era, it also highlighted the pitfalls of rapid cultural shifts impacting small communities. It's like you want the fire and passion, but not if it burns down the place.
Exactly right. So, in a way, Saugatuck stands as both a celebration of rock's transformative power and a lesson in community planning and cultural responsibility.
Yep, precisely. And looking back, it's pretty phenomenal that such events paved the way for how we think about large scale music festivals today, even if they weren't repeated due to the
That's the legacy.
challenges faced.
It's ironic. An event that was so big and transformative ended up being a one time burst because it simply couldn't be sustained.
True, its ephemeral nature adds to its mystique. Despite only running for 1968 and 1969, it captured a unique moment in cultural history, inspiring future festivals and even influencing how communities deal with massive crowds.
Yeah, that's the beauty and the caution of it all. And even today, the echoes of the festival remind us of the power of music to unite and disrupt in equal measure, right?
Exactly. It's a reminder of an era when rock wasn't just music. It was a movement, an uprising, and sometimes a necessary
Absolutely.
chaos.
What a journey through history. The Saugatuck Pop Festival might have been short lived, but its impact still resonates. Thanks for unpacking this intriguingly complex event with me.